What's going on, everyone? Nick the Comic Nerd here, doing my read of the week for Friday, June 4th, for the week of comic books of June 2nd. So hang tight, see what my read of the week was. We'll go through everything else. I'll give you the grades on everything and the reasoning behind a lot of it. So yeah, just hang tight. Let's see what we got. First up, we have James Tinian's new story for DC Black Label, The Nice House on the Lake. Really cool story. Really cool idea. I gave this a B. It has the potential of being an A. You're going to hear me say that a lot this video because I felt that this story didn't explain nearly enough of anything. There's not enough backstory on any one of the characters. It's funny because they all have a backstory, but you don't find out how they all know each other, and it's just very odd. So, like I said, I really liked it, but I was like, you know what, there's not enough in this, so I'm going to give it an A, so I went with a B. And as I predicted, issues 2, 3, 4, I bet you they're all going to come back as A's, so I think this has a lot of potential. I think Tinian's on the right track. Cool horror story, a lot of cool stuff happened in here, but not enough for me to lock it in the way I wanted to. So, really great, don't get me wrong, I think everybody enjoyed it. Issue 2 will be great, but right now for me this was a slow start. Or not a slow start, this was a soft start is the wrong word too. It just wasn't enough information, so that's all. Continuing with DC Black Label, I have Batman Catwoman 5. I'm enjoying this series a lot. I know a lot of people aren't. I truly am. I'm having fun with it. This one kind of hurt though. I gave this a B. Just not enough action in this one. I mean, there was like a lot of issue 4 left off so well where Selena told Bruce where that there was going to be a bomb on a night that they were supposed to go out, and he got pissed at her. They don't even bring that in, so kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. I was a little disappointed in that one, so it happens though, so I'm hoping they're going to have to go back to it. I just don't know when at this point, so we'll see. My last DC book was a total bummer, Justice League 62. This was my cover of the week. I really liked this, to be honest. I like the whole hands-in thing. When you look around, you figure out who everybody is. This story started off strong in this issue, and then they're still fighting Brutus, and then it just became like nothing happened. They brought in other characters. It was very, very odd. I just thought this went nowhere, and I don't like when comic books do that. I understand if you get like a back issue, or like an issue that has a backstory to it on a character, but this did not. This was like straight up, this was kind of garbage, to be honest. I was really upset with this because I'm really liking Justice League. If they hit another issue like this, I'm not coming back. So, but yeah, overall, even the Justice League Dark story didn't go far. It was only a couple of pages, which is normal, but still, I wish it had a little bit more action to it. This also had way too many of the double pages when you open it up, and all the content that is like written on the 2 pages next to one another instead of one page and then the other. So it was short. I didn't enjoy it. On to Marvel. Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, issue 1 is officially here. Boba Fett, not that he lost Han Solo, but Han Solo was taken from him, and he's trying to find out how to get him back, and it goes into a huge thing with that, which is really cool. Awesome character shows up at the end. I don't like ruining Star Wars stuff for anybody. Check this out. This was freaking awesome. Definite A. Black Cat 7. Love this cover. Was almost cover of the week. I gave this a B. This was a good story. It was the end of the whole thing with her and Fox. Felicia kind of had her way with things, and she got Fox killed, but overall it was very confusing because she didn't exactly explain what happened. She told him that she kind of didn't turn against him, but came back against the contract he agreed with them, and her living forever, and she kept her side of it and ended up throwing him under the bus. But it was, like I said, just odd because they didn't explain enough. Another issue that didn't explain enough for me this week. Nonstop Spider-Man 3. I don't know that I'm getting this the next time it comes out. I was really enjoying this, especially because I didn't enjoy Spider Shadow. This was pretty trashy. I didn't love the artwork in this one at all. The girl got super involved, the student that he saved, which was cool, and there was a lot of good stuff going on with it. But the story didn't go as I thought it would, and a lot of things didn't go as I expected, which doesn't help, of course, like if your idea doesn't come out to play, but I was just disappointed in this. It was bland, it was boring. A lot of like drawn out scenes too, like sky fights, which don't happen, but it's whatever, you know. So we'll see. I'm gonna open 4 at the store when it comes out, and we'll see if I stick to it. All right, Aftershock Comics, Out of Body issue 1. This is a great cover too. The coloring in here doesn't exactly show it too well. I gave this a C. People are gonna call me crazy. It was good. It's an awesome concept. Not enough happened, and then the final page ruined it for me. I have it on my... I don't have it on my pull list. I have it in my book to grab next month. It's another one I'm going to open up and see how it goes. If it doesn't clear up, I'm not getting it again. I was super disappointed. I really wanted this to be a fire book, and I'm really upset that it wasn't, but I keep saying it, you know, it happens. I see it in all my videos now, so, but... This one hurt my heart. I was truly looking forward to this and getting into another new indie book, and I just don't know that I'll go for 2, so we'll see. Another indie story from Boom Studios, issue number 1, Basilisk. I gave it a B. It has a potential. It was good. It was really good. I recommend it. I would say go buy this. But it's another one where a lot happened. There's this girl, Reagan. She's an awesome character. She's the one on the cover. She's got these powers. Really cool. But you don't know. At the end of this, I was so confused, and I went to start reading it again, and I was like, nothing was answered in this for me. So, good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. I am going to get issue number 2. I don't know if it'll last. It's another one I don't know if that'll last, especially on a week full of issue number 1s. So, it just makes it hard, because it's like, oh, there's a lot of these, and then... you know, you got to kind of pick and choose if you're trying to keep that pull list short, and I'm kind of trying to keep my pull list short right now, so we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to stick with this, to be honest. And my read of the week goes to Nocterra 4. I know that once a month on a Friday I post a Nocterra video because they're my read of the weeks, but this was awesome. Another great one. I've had some theories on these in the past. I'm not really going to open it and go through too much with you guys. But maybe I'll show you some stuff depending on my notes here. I'm going to read through them for you. But this was really good. And it moved forward, and we're learning a lot more about Val, the main character, the girl in the front. Yeah, I thought this was straight fire. So it also makes it easy. Not that it makes it easy, but it wasn't fair. I read this first. So what I'm going to start doing is making sure that the books I'm really looking forward to, I'm going to read last. Because I want to try and level out the books before, because I read this and then I wanted everything to live up to this, which might be why some of my grades were so low. But this just blew everything out of the water. Star Wars Bounty Hunters was really close, to be honest. War of the Bounty Hunters was close. So, alright guys, let's talk Nocterra. Like I said, I'm not even going to hold the book up for this one. I'm going to work on editing it. Hopefully I can get some, maybe some pictures in here, but we'll see how it goes. I'm trying the edit thing really hard, to be honest. I'm not super patient with it because I don't love technology, but let's talk about Nocterra 4 by Scott Snyder, Tony Daniel. So we ended the last one up where Emery opened his eye and it started turning yellow, which was, I'm sorry, the pupil in his eye started like spreading and it was yellow. And that's how they knew that they were starting to turn into shades, human shades. So in this story we get a lot of monster shades too, which was really, really cool. So I'm literally going to almost go through the entire thing with you. So the story opens up with Emery and Val in the early PM. They literally start at day 3 of PM. So this is after the sun went out, or when the sky went dark, however you want to view it, you know, because it's kind of cool to think of it as maybe the sun went out. I don't really have a big theory on that yet. My goal is to come up with one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but that's my goal. So it opens up day 3 on the news. They figured out that to survive, you need to live in the light. So a lot of people went and did light stuff. You see in the first couple of pages that Val and Emery they went through all the houses and everything in their neighborhood because people left, and they ended up taking a lot of lanterns and just leaving them on the front porch to try and stay safe, which is genius for 2 younger people, because now this is, you know, a futuristic story at this point afterwards, so we don't know how far along. It says the hours throughout the book, and it says the miles traveled. I just don't exactly remember what all of it was. I'm going to hold this up so that I don't have to keep looking down. On day 4, refugee camps started getting up, so people were setting up places where other people could go and survive and stay healthy and everything, between like healthcare and protection. On day 5, evacuations were sent out. Because Val and Emery's parents were in the basement, if you remember, talking to them and saying that they were listening to somebody else and that somebody else was talking and it wasn't their parents because they were becoming shades and got infected. They ended up staying in the house, which we'll get into in a little bit. I have a cool little thing on that I liked. That I don't know. I think everybody picked up on it, though. On day 6, broadcasts ended forever, so it's almost like electricity kind of went out in a way, but it wasn't that. It was more that I think the people were gone. So, crazy stuff, but... so, we talked about the lanterns already. So, the big thing was Val wanted to leave because the basement wasn't holding the parents in for much longer, and she kept looking for their dad's gun, and it went back and forth, back and forth. Emery was like, no, I want to stay, and all of a sudden you look, and he has the gun, and he's like kind of threatening Val. And one of the final pages before they go into the present time was that she says to him, he says to her, you always win and you always make the decisions, it's my turn to make the decisions, and Val says, and you probably know how that turned out. So, pretty cool, which was awesome. We find out on the final page what the decision was, and we'll talk about it. So now we're in the present time. Emery is in the back of the rig on the dialysis machine like thing, trying to get fixed. They're going to look for that solar lamp that Augustus told them about that can help keep him alive and power the machine longer. Don't forget Blacktop Bill started draining energy from the battery of the rig, so they know they don't have much longer to drive and everything. But it's Val and Bailey up front. Remember, Augustus is toast. Blacktop Bill got him in issue 3. But Val and Bailey are getting really close. They're looking for the solar lamp. They end up finding it in a luggage claim store that Val explains to Bailey was like this place where when you flew, they had tons of stuff there. So it was like literally like an empty, almost like a thrift store / like golden find thing. Like you go through there with a metal detector, you come out rich probably. So it's pretty cool. The way they do it, and they show it, there's a massive lit up briefcase on top. I don't remember what the city was called, to be honest, but they end up fighting in there. All of a sudden, Bailey hears her voice echo, and she, like, yells something, and all of a sudden a monster shade comes out. Val kills it and defends her. Then they realize they find the solar lamp, which is great, but then they end up going and seeing that, they end up getting out, and they're surrounded by shades, and they're like, oh boy, and they're out of, the battery's gonna die, so Val tells Bailey, we have to walk. So they traveled a while. Emery's in the back. They take the solar lamp. As they open it, he comes out and he goes to attack Val. And that's when I was like, she's going to shoot him right here. She didn't. When she opened it, she flashed a light at him. And it kind of pushed him back. So the shades really can't handle sunlight, obviously, which we've learned from the weapons they've created in past ones. But they end up... He ends up talking to her, but Emery tells Val, like, I hear other voices in my head. You know, soon it's not going to be me. So I made the prediction on the last issue that Val's going to have to kill him. I thought this was going to be it. I was wrong. I don't know that that's still going to be the case. We'll talk about it towards the end on my theory list. So like I said, you can hear other voices. What's crazy is they go to this little cutscene, and let me just see if I wrote down the name. I don't think I did. Mother was the name of another rig. And then the woman who originally was paying them for their time for running, for like smuggling people, if that's what you want to call it, and goods and stuff, ends up calling kind of like the headquarters for the rig drivers. They end up talking, and she goes, I need a favor. What can you tell me about Blacktop Bill? And the guy tells her, I can't tell you anything. And then he calls her through like a private line, a secure line, and he goes, you can't even say his name. And it was really weird. And then the next thing you see is somebody calls Blacktop Bill, and he's driving. Seems like he's still chasing Val. And he ends up, you look on the roof of his car, he has the guy, the mother, the guy's name was Mother. Or that's his call name, his call sign, which we'll go over those too, which is really cool because we learned a lot about those in this issue. And he ends up getting caught by Blacktop Bill. So now my thing is, like, can Blacktop Bill hear when people simply say his name? Which is pretty sick. So now he's torturing this dude on his roof who's turning into a shade slowly, but pretty crazy stuff going on here. So anyways, Val and Bailey end up getting surrounded by some shades, and they're the monster shades, so they're different shapes and everything. They don't look like people. And all of a sudden they run away. And Bailey's like, it's working, and Val goes, no, that's the sign that there's a human shade around. So one of the final pages is Tiberius Augustus, who was Bailey's grandpa, the twin brother, who looks just like him. He actually looks a lot like Old Man Hawkeye too, which is pretty cool. Ends up coming out and saving them, and it was really neat because I was like, oh wow, like they made it. But when Val said she had to walk, it was almost like that was short term, which kind of sucks. But because like you're thinking this is gonna be super dangerous, and it ended up not being. So a lot to do there. There goes back to a flashback scene where Val sees sunlight for the first time in 13 years. And I don't know if that's what she meant when she saw it. Tiberius, is that like her form of a metaphor? Because she saw, like, this is the answer, hopefully. And pretty crazy, because you have to remember she was blind. And she only got to see for a short period of time in the light. And then all of a sudden the sky went dark and the PM became. So, pretty crazy stuff. So my big thoughts are, at the start, Emery says Val makes decisions. Oh, I'm sorry, before it ends. Val explained that Emery got to win that argument in the beginning of the story, so they stayed there. All the evacuations left, and that's when they had to fend for their own. So we don't know how Val got to that whole rig driving thing. I can't remember what they're always called. But that's just the way it went down. So you find out she let him win, which is going to be pretty cool because this is one of my thoughts. We find out at the end that she lets him win, and then her and Bailey were having a conversation, and Bailey was joking around, and she's like, oh, if we find the solar lamp, like my grandpa's book says it'll be there, can I drive the rig? And sure as shit, Val goes, okay, sure. So it's like, oh, you let Emery win all those years ago that one time and ended up paying for it. And now she let Bailey win this conversation thing. So, you know, she let her little brother win, and now it's kind of like she's making Bailey her little sister kind of thing, which is really cool. I'm enjoying it. But it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, is this going to turn to bite her in the end? And I hope it doesn't, of course. But that's just a feeling that I get. So we learned about the call signs. So Val's call sign was Sundog. So she explains it to Bailey. She's like, oh, like, you can drive now that you were right when you figure out a call sign. And she goes, how do you decide it? And Val goes, you actually just pick something you hate. So it's kind of nuts to think about. Like, that guy's name was Mother, so he didn't like his mom, if you're asking me. Bailey asks, what's a sundog? And Val explained it. It didn't get explained well. And it was basically, like, the way the sun comes in through something, and it's almost like it comes through a creek and the shape it formed, in a way. That's kind of what I got out of it, so I was hoping for a little bit more. I might be able to explain it better if I reread it, but Bellwether was the name of the woman who's like the headquarter of the rig drivers. So the ferryman, that's what they're called, ferryman. We look at it as things like they had their parents locked in a basement when they turned, or as they were turning. Val kind of keeps Emery locked in the back of the rig, which is super upsetting, don't get me wrong, and it sucks to see. But it's almost like it's the same thing in the parents' turn, so like my gut still tells me he's gonna turn and that they can't save him, it's too late. These shades and the voices they're hearing. If you guys have been reading Nocterra and you read Venom, let me know if this is a little nuts, but I feel like it's almost very symbiotic, like symbiote-like. So I called it symbiotic on my note, it's symbiote-like. You know, the color, the way it happens, how they kind of lose control. Null was able to kind of like talk to everybody in their heads, like stuff like that, and I was kind of like, that's really cool. If, you know, that's kind of the same idea. I don't think it is, but I almost wanted to say like, oh, like maybe like how in King in Black, how Eddie ended up going into that like purgatory state of like the codex and everything. Maybe that's what Val's gonna have to do to fight Blacktop Bill, you know? I mean, just a crazy theory, don't get me wrong, but I'm loving this so much that my head is going left and right with all these ideas, and I love every one of them. So, and I think Scott Snyder is just a genius with a lot of stuff. So, sorry, my nose keeps itching. So it's another one. So like I said, the shade monsters, the shade voices in the head is like a symbiote theory in me. Especially with Blacktop Bill, like, can he, you know, how did he know to go there, and what was he looking for there? And we're never gonna find that out, which kind of sucks. I think that was kind of like a little curveball that was cool, but it only makes sense if he can hear when they all talk to, like, or say his name even. So, cool little theory there, I thought. The Shades monster is running away. when Val and Bailey were defending themselves. They were surrounded. The art was great. And all of a sudden, Tiberius shows up. And Val said that they run when there's human shades. So my thought was, is Tiberius a shade in control? Kind of like Blacktop Bill? Like, I don't know. But I just thought that would be kind of crazy because it wouldn't make sense for them to run away. But then she talked about the sunlight thing at the end, which was a weird page, to be honest. It's just like a ray of sunlight coming down. But like I said, I don't know what she referred to. Was that her when they opened the door to go outside and finally leave the house with their parents? Or is that when like Tiberius opened wherever he came from? I don't know. Really tough call to make. Maybe Val won't have to kill Emery. I don't know. I think she's gonna have to. I really do. I just have a bad feeling, or I have a worse feeling that like maybe Bailey will do it for her. I don't know. I don't want to see that, but it's pretty nuts. And my last thing I want to know, and you guys, this is what I want everyone to comment on if you check this out and hang out. You know, will Val go one-on-one with Blacktop Bill? And I think that's a pretty sick story. I think we're gonna get some background story on Blacktop Bill. But yeah, that's what I got going for that. So that's my best. It's my best synopsis of this issue. I loved it. I hope you guys loved it if you read it. I hope you love all your books. I always do, but this week hurt. You know, I was super disappointed in a lot of those books, but like I said, maybe reading Nocterra first didn't help me in a way. So, yeah. All right, guys. So my read of the week was Nocterra 4. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Share it somewhere if you want. Like I said, comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think about the whole ending I just talked about with Blacktop Bill versus Val in like a one-on-one fight, or any of my other theories. Let me know if you have any theories, because I'm loving this. I think this can go anywhere at this point, and I hope it goes everywhere, as crazy as that sounds. This is cover A, which I thought was pretty sweet, and then cover B was Blacktop Bill, which was awesome, and there were a lot of other covers, as usual, for the story. So I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy your comics.